1.
His name was Thomas.
2.
His name was George. His name was Edward.
4.
His name was Archibald.
5.
His name was Frederick.
6.
His name was Joseph.
7.
His name was George. His name was Thomas. His name was Albert. His name was William. His name was Andrew.
12.
His name was Joseph. His name was Albert. His name was George. His name was George. His name was Alfred. Thomas. Ernest. His name was James.
20.
His name was William. His name was Isaac. His name was Joseph. His name was William. His name was William.
25.
His name is unknown. His name was Major. His name was John. His name was James. His name was Oliver. His name was George. His name was Herbert. His name was Thomas. His name was Ernest. His name was William.
35.
His name was Thomas. His name was William. His name was Fatima. His name was Herbert. Alfred. John. Ernest. Frederick. Bert. Evan. Louis. Peter. George.
His name was James.
50.
His name was Alexander. His name was Arthur. His name was William. His name was Harry. His name was James. His name was Percy. His name was John. His name was John. His name was James. His name was John. His name was William. His name was Robert. His name was John. His name was Alfred. His name was James. His name is unknown. His name is unknown. His name is unknown. His name was Abraham.
217.
His name was Walton. His name was James. His name was Joseph. His name was John.
221.
His name was Thomas,
William,
Charles,
John,
George,
Leonard,
Herbert,
Henry,
Ernest,
John,
Demetrio,
Mahmoud,
Thomas,
Norman,
Frederick,
William,
Frank,
Thomas,
Ernest,
Frederick,
William,
242.
His name was Ernest, his name was Charles, his name was Stephen, his name was Henry, his name was John, his name was George, his name was John, his name was William, his name was Richard, his name was Thomas, his name was Thomas, his name was Ernest, his name was Thomas, his name was Arthur, his name was James, his name was Joseph, his name was Frederick, his name was Charles, his name was Harry, his name was John, his name was Wilfred, his name was Thomas, his name was Ernest, his name was Victor, his name was Ernest, his name is unknown, his name was Hector, his name is unknown, his name was Arthur, his name was Henry, his name was Albert, his name was James, his name was Frank, his name was Robert, his name was Leopold, his name was John, his name was Walter, his name was Malcolm, his name was William, his name was Thomas, his name was William, his name was Stephen, his name was Walter, his name was David, his name was Arthur, his name was George, his name was Harry, his name was
Frederick.
291.
His name was Benjamin. His name was William.
293.
His name was John. His name was William. His name was William. His name was Harry. His name was Joe.
298.
His name was Frederick. His name was Frank.
300.
His name was Patrick.
301.
His name was Robert. His name was David.
303.
His name was Harry.
304.
His name was Lawrence.
305.
His name was Ernest.
306.
His name was Louis.